Hello and welcome back. Today we will cover the fifth company in our deep dive series. It is a pharmaceutical company that is specializing in contrast media intermediates and active pharma intermediates. Bluejet was listed in 2023 and since listing, its pharma intermediate and API business has taken off significantly. This will be one of the primary focus of our analysis and the overall analysis will be done in two sections. The company was established as a private limited company in 1968. They started producing high-intensity sweeteners called saccharins, which are alternate to sugar in 1970. They ended contrast media business in 2000 and pharma intermediates in 2002. The company has three major segments. The first one is the contrast media intermediates. The second one is the high-intensity sweeteners. And the third one is the active pharmaceutical ingredient and active intermediates. If you look at the IPO documents, you will see that the contrast media segment was the major contributor with more than 70% contribution in 2021, 22 and 23. The share of contribution has significantly changed in financial year 2025 with contrast media now contributing 39% and pharma intermediates contributing 45%. Let's look at each of these segments in detail. First, let's look at the contrast media. Contrast media are agents used in medical imaging like X-ray, MRI to enhance the visibility of body tissues. There are mainly three types of contrast media. The first one is the X-ray or CT scan agents, which are primarily iodine based. The second one is the MRI or the magnetic resonance imaging agents, which are mainly gadolinium based. And the third one is the ultrasound based, which are stabilized microbubble based agents. As per Bluejet's IPO documents, the contrast media segment is dominated by iodinated and gadolinium based agents, where iodinated agents has a 74% market share and gadolinium agents has a 24% market share. And this is where Bluejet is focused on. Let's have a look at the global contrast media sector. The global contrast media formulation sector is highly concentrated with 70% of the global sales dominated by four players, namely GE Healthcare, SureBet, Bracco Imaging and Bayer AG. This concentration is due to the fact that they are forward integrated, which means that they manufacture the devices or equipments that are used for imaging. Because of this concentration, even though these drugs are not patent protected, they still command good margins. The company is supplying contrast media intermediates to three of the four major players, and as per the company, 70% of its sales are backed by long-term supply contracts. They have more than 75% market share in exports out of India in one of the key contrast media intermediates called ABA. In the contrast media industry, 99% of the iodinated contrast media agents in terms of sales in 2023 is contributed by 7 molecules. And iohexol is the largest molecule. ABHCl, the hydrochloride salt of ABA, which is a major Bluejet product, is a key intermediate for the manufacture of iohexol. As per the company's recent concall, the company is undertaking backward integration, which would go live in second half of 2026. This would reduce volatility in margins to a great extent. The primary raw material could be APD, and its production will significantly de-risk its supply chain from China. Also, the company is launching another iodinated intermediate, which is expected to be launched in the first half of this financial year, and the full potential of this launch is expected next year. Similar to X-ray contrast agents, the MRI or gadolinium-based agent sales is also dominated by 9 molecules. The company manufactures a key intermediate for many of these products. However, a product of key significance in this segment is gadopyclenol, which is a new chemical entity. The product validations was completed last year and commercial sales started in the fourth quarter of financial year 2025 and further scale up is expected in 2026. The benefit of gadopyclenol is that it has higher relaxivity and efficacy. Due to this, it can enhance MRI images at lower doses, potentially reducing gadolinium deposition. This offers the potential for far more effective and safer MRI scans, particularly in situations where multiple scans are needed or when there are concerns about gadolinium retention. Gadopiclor, as we said, is a new chemical entity and is marketed as Elucirum by Jurbet and as UV by Bracco. Jurbet and Bracco Imaging has a global strategic collaboration agreement. This collaboration will allow Jurbet and Bracco Imaging to commercialize Gadopiclor independently under different brand names. As per the agreement, Jurbet will manufacture Gadopiclor active ingredient and finished drug product in the vial presentation for Bracco Imaging for up to 7 years. Following a technology transfer, both companies will have the ability to manufacture the product after that. Elucirum was launched in Germany in April 2024 and it was followed by launches in UK, France and Switzerland. Phase 3 clinical studies are going on in Japan. Elucirum is one of the Jurbet's flagship products. Not much information is available on Bracco as it is not publicly listed. However, it has reached 1 million injections in the US. As it is a new product, Bluejet expects gradual increase in sales based on how the end product performs and is the sole supplier of intermediate for its production. Now, if you look at the revenue from this segment, we could see that the revenues has been declining since 2023. As per the company, the revenue for the year 2023 was an outlier as its customers wanted to build a security stock and that year could be considered an exceptional year. And the company would like to consider last year's sales as a base and will grow from here on. The single largest customer has been contributing more than 60% of the revenue in the year 2021, 22 and 23. So there is significant customer concentration risk. However, it is good to see that one of their major customers is projecting good demand and expanding their capacities. GE Healthcare is investing $138 million to expand their capacity in Ireland. The new 30,000 meter square facility will support both established and pipeline products. As per the company, global demand for iodine-based contrast media used in X-ray, CT and interventional procedures is expected to double in the next decade, driven by an aging population and the increasing global prevalence of chronic disorders. The overall contrast media segment of the company could see growth coming from its backward integration, going live in second half of 2026 and the new iodinated intermediate launch in first half of 2026. Scaling up of the new chemical entity Gadopiclor and expansion of capacities of a key customer should all be the main growth drivers for the company's contrast media segment. A risk in this segment is that Divis Labs, one of the most efficient Indian API and intermediate manufacturers, has entered the contrast media segment and wants to be a leading player in this space. The second segment is a high intensity sweeteners. The segment contributed to 13% of the company's revenues. Even though the company's revenue from this segment is lower than its revenue posted in 2022, it has shown some growth year over year in 2025. The high-intensity artificial sweeteners are used in tabletop sweeteners, oral care products, and pharmaceuticals. They have long-term relationships with key players like Colgate, Unilever, MMAG Company Limited. They are working on a new high-intensity sweetener product as well. However, saccharin faces strong competition from Chinese players. It even had an anti-dumping investigation started against imports from China in 2024, but was later terminated as the designated authority has recommended continuation of existing countervailing duties on imports of saccharins originating in China. The countervailing duty of 20% on saccharin imports from China was imposed in February 2025 for a period of 5 years. In terms of exports of saccharin, China is the top exporter to European Union and South Korea leads the exports to US. Any favorable trade agreement with US or EU may help India and in turn Bluejet to increase its share of exports as far as saccharins are concerned. We will be soon coming back with the second part of the analysis, so please stay tuned.